Here it is. Swing and a miss, strike three. And that will do it.
Breaking news out of Baltimore this morning. That is where the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed.
You go the entire season. You go until last day. You had not been swept. And the Orioles are swept in 3 games in the American League Division Series.
This is a story about Baltimore. A story of resiliency. Now, let me tell you what makes this story so special. The Baltimore Orioles opened their 2024 season on March 28th, only 2 days after the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge and following a devastating end to their 2023 season.
These guys played their butts off for 6 months. We just didn't play well for these last 3, unfortunately.
The Key Bridge collapsed early this morning. You heard me right. About 1:30 this morning, a container ship struck one of the bridge's support beams, and that's all it took for the Key Bridge to come crumbling down. The entire bridge is gone.
But if there is one thing that I've learned about the city of Baltimore, it's that I already know how this story ends. The Baltimore Orioles had their inaugural season in 1954 and have experienced their fair share of tough times. After finishing with the worst record in baseball during the 2021 season, the Orioles responded by winning 101 games and winning the American League regular season championship just 2 short years later in 2023. But a tough ending to the season and rumors swirling of a sale to a new owner that could include a move to Nashville left the city once again in doubt.
The Angelo brothers, or part owners of the Orioles franchise, are at odds right now, heading to court over the control of the team, with the lawsuit mentioning a possible move to Tennessee.
One accusation saying, quote, John intends to maintain absolute control of the Orioles, to manage to sell, or if he chooses, to move to Tennessee without having to answer to anyone.
18 years after the Orioles' inaugural season, in 1972, construction started on the Francis Scott Key Bridge and was later completed in 1977. This bridge symbolized so much more than just a practical link for the 695 Beltway around the city, but also the working class families around it, the city of Baltimore, and even our country. The bridge was a lifeline to school and work for so many people. And the port is also a major source of employment across the region. Ranking as the 9th largest port in America, the collapse has impacted an estimated 15,000 direct jobs, generating $4.7 billion in economic value to the state of Maryland. Nearly 140,000 other jobs, either supported by or indirectly related to activities at the port, have been impacted. And estimates state that the Baltimore port closure could cost the economy upwards of $15 million per day.
And Preservation Maryland's Nicholas Redding says that the impact of what's happened is profound and that this impacts everyone in this area, actually all over the country.
This was a bridge to the American dream. The first and last hands that built that bridge were immigrants that came here to pursue that dream. So here we are, Baltimore, in quite the familiar place, experiencing the toughest of times.
Violence escalates despite calls for peace.
21215 zip code is a hotspot for the coronavirus in Baltimore, and now it's also the site of one of the largest outbreaks of coronavirus at a nursing home in the country.
But this isn't a new story. This is simply the next chapter in the story of resilience.
Adley Rutschman will score, and the Orioles, who clinched a postseason berth just a few minutes ago, seal their fate with a walk-off win.
The story of Baltimore. Because we've been here before, and I have seen how this city responds. So what's the one thing that I've learned about Baltimore? Baltimore is a city of resiliency.
Baltimore Orioles are signing reliever Craig Kimbrell. Blockbuster trade less than 2 weeks before spring training. Corbin Burns goes to Baltimore.
Today, MLB officially approved the sale of the Baltimore Orioles, and now I have the pleasure to sit down with Mr. David Rubenstein, new owner of the Baltimore Orioles.
Turning now to Baltimore, where crews have taken some major steps in their effort to reopen the city's port after that catastrophic bridge collapse. Workers there have been cutting that bridge into pieces, and they've already moved tons of debris in what is now being called a 24/7 operation.
Monday's city council meeting introduced 3 vital companion bills to make the revitalization of
the Inner Harbor possible, supported by input from the people who live and work here.
From the city's founding in 1729 until now, it's a story of attrition and perseverance.
Cedric Mullins toward the wall, and Cedric Mullins over it! And they're going crazy on the roof deck! They're going crazy all over this city!
The Orioles are a quintessential part of Baltimore, and Baltimore a quintessential part of America. This isn't about just the bridge, or Baltimore, or the Orioles. This is about the core principles of what America was built on. The fortitude and resiliency to persevere through whatever is thrown our way.
The Orioles score 11 runs, and the defending American League East champs pick up right where they left off.
Yeah, that represented more than just the start of a season for a baseball team. It represented the start of a new chapter for the city of Baltimore.
Let us join together in a moment of silence for those who lost their lives in the tragedy at the Francis Scott Key Bridge early Tuesday morning.
Donate now to the victims of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse by going to baltimorecivicfund.org/Key Bridge Response Fund and clicking support this program. Brought to you by BEG Sports. Like and subscribe.